Good evening, America. Welcome back to another episode of Break the Machine podcast. In our continuous pledge that Red Day Walker and I have had since January 6th, we will continue to bring on J6ers so they can tell their stories. They will no longer be silenced. We will not put up with it. We will make sure that their stories are told in full. And so we can get through all the bullshit that has gone on for years now with the Marxist state media and big tech and the government. There's a big change going on in government right now. If you guys have been paying attention, it's been a whirlwind, and the legacy media can't even keep up with any of that shit, which is awesome. But tonight we have Joseph Thomas. I put all his links in the description to his webpage, to his Give Send Go. Everything is there. His merch. Let's help this brother out. He's still got things that need to get taken care of. So we're patriots here on this channel. So let's make sure we take care of another patriot. So without further ado, let's bring in Red Day and Joseph Thomas. Hey, what's going on?
Hey,
Joseph,
thanks
thanks
for
for
having
coming
me,
on
folks.
tonight. Yeah, no, we're glad that you're coming
Yeah,
on.
thanks
We
for
want
coming
you to
on.
tell your story. Tonight is all about you, and you take as much time as you need to tell your story because you're not gonna get silenced on this channel.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate that. My name's Joe Thomas. My nickname is Pi, like the number. I,
Mhm.
I've been on the board since I was knee high to a grasshopper and was out there, searching and researching truth and standing up against the lies, being called a conspiracy theorist for years. There was a group of us online that, um, we all believed, like many of us, that the election was stolen. And so a couple weeks, maybe a month or so before the rally, as soon as Trump announced it, come to DC, it'll be wild. We
Mhm.
started putting together a convoy of four major routes across the U.S. to be able to get people to DC to show support for the sitting president. And personally, I wanted to go see the Capitol and just witness the Constitution and playing out the way it should. And they actually had a picnic scheduled too for a bunch of meet and greets with YouTubers and things like that. But we had this whole thing planned out. We would all meet up as we drove across the country, and then we would all drive into DC together. It was a huge success. Helped get about 7,800 people to the rally in DC through the 5th and then into the 6th. And it was, we had police escorts at all the different stops and internal security, et cetera, to protect people.
Mhm.
When I got to the rally, uh, the atmosphere was great, man. It was just a sea of red, white, and blue, and every American was loving one another. It didn't matter what walk of life you came from. It was just, we were all standing together on the same banner of freedom, and it was great. And things happened throughout the day after the speech. I started to head to the picnic, and I got diverted to the Capitol. Um,
Yeah.
I smelled tear gas on my way up there, and I knew something was popping off. So grabbed my camera and went to go film, go offer help to people. I'm a Red Cross instructor, so plus I was in the military, so I have some basic medical knowledge I could offer people. And then when I got actually to the Capitol, I saw Capitol Police. This is probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I saw Capitol Police beating people with metal batons and tear gassing women and children and just craziness, right? And so
Yeah.
I went and tried to keep the peace between people, was taking weapons away from agitators in the crowd, trying to convince the crowd to use pipes, for example, against Capitol Police. I was preaching no violence the whole day, and I was up there 6.5 hours trying to keep distance between the protesters and the cops and, you know, using my voice, exercising First Amendment right, et cetera, et cetera. But the cops are just beating on people. And so sometimes I put my body in the way. Sometimes there was one instance where I pushed a cop off of an elderly man. He was beating him while he was laying on the ground. The old guy's head was just leaking blood everywhere. And every instance that I had any type of contact with the police, I was charged with assault for. Whether
Mm.
they hit me with their nightstick or shoved me down the stairs, or if I happened to turn my back to them and they pushed up against me, you name it. But
Mm.
that whole day it was just wild. I was on the Upper West Terrace, just above the tunnel. where Roseanne Boylan lost her life.
Right.
I was nowhere near where Ashley Babbitt was shot or where Benjamin Phillips and Kevin Greason died. But it was still, pretty police heavy area, and they were forcefully trying to remove everybody from the Capitol grounds. And I never went into the building. I had no desire to. They were
Right.
objecting to the electors, and that's what we wanted to see. And then, as we all know now, the left found a reason to evacuate and cancel the election count until afterwards. So, I'm not going to speculate on the whole reasons as to why or who was involved in that. And I have my theories, but there's some really talented people out there that are digging into the origins of all of it. And I think if what we suspect to be true, then, the American public are going to be surprised. But nonetheless, after that, my wife called me couple months later and said she saw my face on the FBI's Facebook page of their most wanted. And I was AFO number 214. So
Wow.
they were looking for me, and I made the joke of like, oh, well, I thought it would feel good to be wanted. My wife didn't appreciate that too much, but
All right.
um, I took some advice from somebody, and they said, don't run, don't do anything crazy, but just let them find you organically. Initially, I wanted to just turn myself in because I didn't think I did anything wrong. And I posted
Right.
all my videos online and was talking about how there were agitators and people infiltrating the crowd, etc. Um, but that's what I did is I just let them come and find me. They arrested me while I was working in Alabama, but I'm originally from West Virginia. I traveled with the as a contractor with different utility companies, and so
Right.
I happened to be doing a project in Alabama when the FBI counterterrorism SWAT team hit me with a flashbang and the whole armored vehicles and the tactical gear and all that type of stuff, which sucked nonetheless. But when I was arrested, they took me to the U.S. Marshal's office in Alabama. I was awarded bond. Had to jump through some hoops while I was down there to get transferred back home, but that cost me my job and everything. And so
Right.
I came back here and licked my wounds and um, had to deal with the wrath of a very scared wife.
Wow.
Um, but long story short, I ended up being charged with 12 federal charges. I was facing over 30 years in prison. They tried to
Mm.
give me a plea deal, but I told them where they could put it, and I ended up taking it to trial. My trial was in May of 23, so that was 2 years out on bond that I was fighting my case and advocating for other J6ers, etc. Um, and then in May of 23, I went to trial. It lasted for 3 weeks into June, and out of the 12 charges I was facing, five of them were assault. The one involving the elderly man, that one got thrown out by the judge because I was obviously defending somebody else uh, that was being illegally attacked. And then I'm the only January 6th defendant that beat the 1512 obstruction of Congress. It's a 20-year
Yeah.
felony.
Yeah.
That one was the one that was overturned by the Supreme Court, but I'm the only one that beat it that went to jury trial. Um, and then there were a couple other charges I was found not guilty of that involved violence at the Capitol or violence in the restricted area. I was found not guilty of any violence. However, the way the statute is worded for assault, it's assaulting, obstructing, or impeding. And so I openly admitted to standing in the way of the police numerous occasions and said that, we had a permit to protest there. So they had to forcibly remove me if they were going to violate my First Amendment right. And I even cited the
Right.
Greensboro Four from the civil rights movement, which the
Mm.
judge laughed at. But nonetheless, I was found guilty of the assaults because of the impeding aspect, not the actual assault. But that didn't matter. The judge and the prosecution increased it through my sentencing enhancements to aggravated assault, four charges of it. The 1512 that I was found not guilty of, I was hit with the sentencing enhancements for it anyway, because the judge said, or excuse me, the prosecution said they thought I tricked the jury into finding me not guilty.
What the
Um,
fuck?
yeah, exactly. And then I was also denied my ability to use First Amendment as part of my defense, and I was forced to testify in my own case, which is a violation of my First and my Fifth. She
Yeah.
actually threatened to file contempt charges and bar complaints against my attorneys if they tried to use the First Amendment as part of my defense, despite the fact that it was a First Amendment demonstration. But ultimately, I was found guilty of 7 charges: civil disorder, which is basically rioting, the 4 assaults under the impeding aspect of the statute, but they changed that pretty quick in my sentencing, and then a disorderly conduct and trespassing, which are misdemeanors. And instead of 30 years, I was sentenced to 5. I self-surrendered to the federal prison in Memphis, Tennessee, in January 18th of 24, and spent 372 days in federal prison until on the 21st at 2 in the morning. They popped my cell door open and said, "Thomas, pack your stuff. Trump came to get you." And I laughed. And I was already packed and ready to go because I watched the inauguration that day. Had a feeling that he was going to follow through with the promises that he made. And thankfully, I'm able to be here now with my family and try to rebuild, pick up the pieces of everything that they destroyed. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. I'm leaving out the aspect of Sing for Freedom whenever I was out on bond, but I figured we could touch on that in a second and see if you guys had anything you wanted to talk about or ask any questions or whatever.
I did have some questions. I'm sure Eric does
Go
too.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, how did you get the trespassing charge if you never went inside?
So they claim that the grounds were restricted because the Secret Service restricted it, even though they didn't notify the public, because the vice president was on the premises for to be the president of the Senate. But the problem with that is one reason that the judge used to take away my First Amendment protection is she cited the Capitol grounds being a restricted area as fact, but I'm supposed to be presumed innocent unless proven guilty. So she was presuming my guilt on the trespassing charge to deny me a basic constitutional right. I mean, it gets kind of convoluted when you start digging down into the nitty gritty of each statute, but like a person, she can't assume that I'm guilty of a charge that I'm being charged with.
Of course.
But they did a lot of stuff. Yeah, they did a lot of stuff they really shouldn't be. We caught the government withholding evidence, tampering with evidence. We caught them intimidating witnesses, coercing witnesses, and feeding testimony to witnesses. She even threatened to throw my wife in jail and put her under investigation if she testified on my behalf as a character witness. A lot of chicanery was going on in that courtroom for sure.
This court was in DC.
Yeah, DC District
was
Court.
in DC. Yeah,
Okay,
that seems to be the common theme. Yeah, that seems to be the common theme. No, it's fine. I'm glad that you asked that because that was going to be my question. Was this in DC? That seems to be the common theme with all of you that you guys were being run through DC, where it was a kangaroo court. The deck was stacked against you guys very, very high, intentionally. Like you said, a lot of coercion, a lot of corruption in DC. We all know that DC is just a haven of methane and swamp. So it just seems like it's a common theme with anybody we've brought on to tell their stories that they've been run through DC for absolutely everything. So you said you started in Memphis, and next thing you know, you're in front of a judge in DC, which it's amazing that we're hearing these stories, and we need to hear these stories, right? We promised, like I said, that there will be no silence anymore. You guys, I think the fact of what was going on to you, what was happening to all of you, and people were starting to see it as time was going on leading up to the election, was a big part of why Trump got reelected. I called for it. Like I called for straight up pardoning every single one of you guys. Red Day did the same thing, and on this channel we were constantly just as loud as we can say it. They all need to be pardoned after the billions of dollars of damage during the summer of love and the 33 plus murders that happened and the no-go zones of streets and blocks and city areas that were taken over by somebody by Antifa and BLM. We didn't want to hear it. It was like we just don't want to hear it. It's just like there's there's nothing you can tell us, all right, that this is okay what's happening. And what made it worse for us seeing what was happening to you guys is that we saw what was going on, that due process was not happening, and that you most of you were sitting in prisons without any kind of due process at all. No charges, no nothing. No, by the way, nobody has been charged with sedition or insurrection. Okay, everything. Most of these charges, like you said, were misdemeanors. 1512 was being used incorrectly. Thankfully, the Supreme Court stepped in on another case that actually helped all of you guys in the long run. But it helped Trump get elected, seeing what was happening to you, because we were pushing out here for him to pardon all of you. And, when January 20th came, and that was one of his first executive orders, was to take care of you all. It was a 1,500, and then I think 6 commuted with, think further investigation, which may possibly lead to full pardons as well. So we're just happy that you're out, man. And we're happy that, you don't have to live through that
Yeah,
any
it's
longer.
definitely great to be free, man. And I'm truly blessed, to be able to come home and hug my kids and, be able to sit down in a nice hot cooked meal and not have to worry about somebody coming up to stab me and et cetera, et cetera. But you talk about the Fisher case that went to the Supreme Court to take out the 1512.
Hmm.
AJ Fisher is an absolute just firebrand whenever it comes to fighting in the courtrooms and making changes for all of the J6 community. He's been doing some great work for a long time, and I was super happy to see him get a favorable ruling from the Supreme Court because it made a huge difference for a lot of J6ers with that 1512. Um, yeah, that was definitely a game changer. Another one was Griffin. Griffin is actually sitting waiting to be ruled on because it's arguing the trespassing for everybody.
Right.
And then I also have an appeal out trying to argue against the violation of the First, Fifth, Sixth, and Eighth Amendments in my trial to set
Hmm.
precedent to help protect people's rights
Sure.
whenever they go to court further.
Yeah.
Um, Nobody should have to be forced to choose between constitutional rights. Say you can't have your first unless you've waived your fifth and et cetera, that type of thing.
Correct.
So um, a lot of the atrocities and injustices that have been going on for a long time, like you mentioned, people were being held in the DC CTF for 214, 216 days before even being charged. Some of them never had a trial. They finally received charges, but they sat there for 2 years and no trial. Some didn't even receive a basic bond hearing, which is supposed to be one of the first steps after your arrest.
Correct.
And that's one major reason that whenever I was out on bond, I made a point to be a very vocal, very public advocate on behalf of their justice, to bring
Hmm.
awareness to what was going on with the dirty water and the moldy food and the harassment, the discrimination, the beatings, the torture that they went through in DC. Especially, there was one guard that got fired and escorted off the premises because she was um, notorious for holding people down and while they're handcuffed and spraying them in the face with pepper spray or spraying them because they took their mask down to take an oral medication.
Yeah.
You name it. So a lot of inroads have been made because of folks like you out here screaming from the rooftops of everything going on, and the whole birth of the Sing for Freedom campaign, which you guys can see the website here underneath my name. Whenever the guys went into DC back in May and early June 2021, right after their arrest on January 6th, it came out that they were singing the national anthem every night. And they did it to unify with one another and in protest of their conditions, show their patriotism, to sort of snub their nose at the guards that hated America
Go ahead. Keep going.
greater than a single administration.
Right.
And
Mhm.
that moved me. And I'm a man of faith. And so I was praying to God. I said, listen, you gave me freedom with this bond. I don't know why. I don't know what your plan is, but what do you want me to do with it? You gave me this chance to fight my case out here when many others didn't. So what do you want me to do? And I heard a recording of them singing the anthem. And me being the smart aleck that I am, I stepped out on my front porch and said, well, I might as well get my practice in, start singing along with them because I'm going to be going to prison soon too. And so I started to sing. And my neighbor heard me. I explained to her what was going on. She thought I was nuts and left. A couple days later, I continued singing on my porch every night at 9 Eastern, the same time that they did, to show my solidarity. And I even started recording them. But then I heard my neighbor singing along with me with her 12-year-old son one night.
Awesome.
And God spoke to my heart and said, "This is it. Get America involved." And so I highlighted what they were doing in the DC jail and pushed it out online, asked a few influencers to help me spread it out, made the website, etc., for Sing for Freedom, and basically just asking America to sing along with them, to show them that
Right.
they're not alone, to give their family some hope, and to bring awareness to everything with the whole J6 injustice, the mass arrests, the vindictive prosecutions, the horrible conditions within the prison. I mean, you name it, to expose and to just get eyes on the J6ers. And that was the birth of Sing for Freedom. And over the years, it has interrupted Trump on stage a couple times. It's been done
Yeah,
in
it has.
venues of 100,000 plus, out in Vegas. And there's hundreds of videos that are sent to us daily of people singing the anthem and posting it all over the internet with the hashtag
That's
of
awesome.
Sing for Freedom. You know, it's a
Right.
simple act, but it helped to unify an entire nation of people behind the cause and kind of give us something all to bond to. As each and every one of us do our own little parts in this fight, it's something that we can all kind of turn to. And I just think what they did in DC, despite it being this country that was persecuting them, to show love of nation and to use that patriotism to bond with one another. I mean, that's some hero level stuff, and so it needed to be brought out front. And Sing for Freedom is going to help protect that legacy of what they've done. And there's going to be some big things coming out of it in the future, but I don't want to show my full hand on that yet.
No, no,
But
no.
it's
Keep those cards. Keep those cards to yourself, brother.
right.
I
Mhm.
hope
But
when things start coming out, I hope that you let us know so we can bring you on and again and share it with the world because again, I like you, I'm a veteran. Okay, I'm a veteran of war as well. I'm a combat veteran. My first stint on active duty was with the Marine Corps out of high school. After 9/11, I went into the army. And I swore in. I took the oath for the second time, which the first one that was never I was never relieved of that oath the first time, but I took it again the second time. Showed up at my unit a week later and my first sergeant is telling me, "Are you so and so? I got to send you to training. We got warning orders. We're heading to Iraq." And I was like, "Oh shit! I guess I stepped in shit." So, you know, one of the things that I did last year is, after seeing this is just years and years since 2021 of what's going on with you guys, everything that the Biden administration was doing with other things, the medical tyranny, it was just a conglomerate of shit that was just happening across the nation. I just decided to open my mouth. It was like I felt the same. I felt like God was telling me. I felt I had a moment with God where He was like, "You have a voice, you got a platform, use it." Okay. And one of the things was in many of my original videos, I was always, absolutely always referring to you guys as political prisoners because that's exactly what was happening. And it sickened me as an American, as a combat veteran, of someone that, regardless of whether we fought for the right reasons or not, okay, my country called, and I went. Okay. I didn't turn a blind eye. I just went. Okay. Again, regardless of the reasons, we can argue about that on another show. But what I was seeing happening to other Americans and seeing that the Constitution that I swore an oath to defend against enemies foreign and domestically was being absolutely shredded, and your rights and the rights of all your brothers and sisters, okay, who are going through the same things that you were, all right, was just a complete and total violation for me as a combat veteran seeing that. And I was like, this isn't right. And this is why we made an oath we took an oath on this channel, Scott and I, okay, on January 6th, that you guys will never be silenced again. And every one of you that want to come on this show to tell it like it is, and we will give you the platform for you. So just know that a big part of this election was because of you guys. And America it wasn't just me, Americans in general. Okay. Scott had made this point on one of the other, he made it to the other J6ers on January 6th that, a big part of why Trump got elected was because we saw what was happening to you all. And we knew that it was wrong. And we knew that something had to be done to correct it.
and that's a major win because Americans got to see how bad it can be if they don't pay attention to the electorate or if we
Mhm.
allow them to steal an election, which more accurately is what
Mhm.
happened. But they
Right.
need to be able to feel that pain to want to change it for more than just one election cycle in the future.
Right.
Um, I'm not saying it was
They did.
necessarily a deliberate, but it
No,
definitely
but you know
made
what?
that.
It made a major impact. Like there were we one of the things we did after the election was we were analyzing, looking at the different states and how far they swung, from the left to the middle to the right.
Yeah,
Dude,
all across the
Florida and
country.
Texas, Florida and Texas were already two of the biggest red states, and they went the most more red.
Yeah,
Like the Democrat Party is like practically extinct here in Florida right now. It's like
yeah,
they may never have anything here ever again. Like because people here were just fed up. Like Tampa fucking turned Republican.
yeah,
Tampa,
yeah. It was big,
Miami-Dade went
man.
red. It was
It was
insane. And
big.
like, dude, you're just enough. Like, and especially here in Florida, you've got a huge Hispanic population. A lot of them came from places like Cuba and Venezuela and Colombia and a lot of different places in South America. A lot of them have seen this shit up close. They saw it, and the things that the Democrats are trying to shovel at them, they're just like, no, we don't want this
Yeah,
shit. They lost.
Well,
the
That's why
shift
truth is,
was
Trump did
big.
so well.
Yeah,
Trump did
the
so
shift
well
was big
with
across.
Hispanics.
The shift was actually big everywhere. Okay, so
It was,
I
yeah.
left the state of New York in December. To come down south to a free state. Also to be closer to family because I got family in one of these free states. And just a shift in states like that same map that Scott was talking about how Texas and Florida got more redder. California, okay, and New York got really red. Right, it was just something
Hmm.
incredible to see, and the map that we showed, right, there was no blue in it at all when you saw it. So like everywhere across the country, it got redder because of the shit that was going on. Again, people couldn't pay for stuff. They just like rent was due, they couldn't pay for it. We couldn't get groceries, our car payments, everything was just so much expensive. Mortgages, we couldn't get a
Hmm.
house. People can't get anything. You can't even buy a house. So people were just locked in place, and while we were locked in place just because of economic things, all right, and then obviously the things that were going around the world blowing up all over the place with just a complete and total inept administration, we're watching American citizens, our people, okay, be politically persecuted like we're some sort of fucking third-rate banana republic that we've watched and we've read in history books. It's happening here in our nation, and it aggravated a lot of us, right? So we got up and especially many of us Gen Xers got up and fucking we spoke. It was like we were just done with it. So again, we're just glad that you're out, man. We're glad that you're with your family and your kids. Where are you headed to next? What do you got? Anything going on as far as work? Has things gotten better for you now that you've been pardoned?
well, I mean, the pardon definitely makes it easier because I'm no longer behind bars. But I came home. First of all, I'm thankful to have a home to come home to.
Hmm.
Right.
My wife held it down with. I have 4 kids. She did an amazing job. She deserves a medal being able to keep everything going while I was gone. Um, but I'm successfully unemployed. I have to pick up the pieces. I don't even have a driver's license. My license expired while I was in, and I had no way of renewing it. And so now I got to start over. I got to. I didn't even have pants when I came home. My
When did
clothes.
you what? When did you actually get out? Was it literally
Uh,
like on the 21st or the 20th?
yeah, yeah, on the 21st at 2 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've been home for less than 2 weeks. But I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to pick the pieces up, put them all together, and rebuild my life. They destroyed everything. I lost 2 different jobs. I lost my business. Um, Unfortunately, I also lost my father-in-law in the process of me being in prison. I wasn't able to be here for that. And missed birthdays, graduations, et cetera, et cetera. There's a huge stigma now on my family and the community because we're the J6er family, and a lot of hate comes from that. We get death threats. People burn flags in my front yard. Last year, we had somebody shoot at our house. Um,
Oh my God.
yeah, things like that. But I'm a firm believer that God provides, and we'll be able to pick up the pieces and go back to moving. Now, as to what I have in the future, honestly, I kind of gave it to God and just prayed on it. I'm waiting for an answer. But
It'll come, brother.
I do
It'll
know,
come, man. He's
yeah, I do know that ministry's in my future because I was a minister before I went in. I was a minister in prison. And
Hmm.
then I'm going to be a minister now. I preach, I love my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I'm unabashed and unapologetic about it. Um,
Amen.
I made my way through prison by preaching the gospel and making deals and negotiating with different gangs and cartels to allow their guys to go to church. Um, that sort of thing, and combat the prison politics and the whole racist segregation and division that happens naturally in prison.
Right.
I'm sure you guys understand the prisons are all divided by race, and a lot of times it's
Correct.
because people do that naturally for safety. They
Yep.
acquire people that they relate to. Um, but my year in prison, we actually tore down all those walls to where blacks, whites, Aryan Brotherhood, the Mexican cartels like the Sinaloas or Sereños, the Tangos, Vayucos, everybody was praying together, singing together, studying, doing Bible study together, worshiping at church every morning together, holding hands, sitting by side, and singing hymns and all that stuff. And it was truly a blessing to be able to witness God's hand move as mightily as it did upon that compound in that year that I was there. It was amazing. So no matter what, now that chapter's over, and I'm in this chapter of my life. I don't know what God has in store, but I got my ear open and just waiting to find out whatever it's going to be. Um, I'm sure it'll be great, And there's a lot of folks that are just now getting out. There's still a few that are stuck in there. One of
Yeah.
I'm close friends with is Jeremy Brown. He's a 20-year Green Beret.
Green Beret, right?
Yeah, yeah, just amazing, amazing person. We're still fighting to try to get him free. He was pardoned just like everybody else, but unfortunately, they're playing games and not letting him out. So, if anybody's a prayer warrior out there, Jeremy Brown can definitely use it. And we're going to
And
continue singing every night until they're free too.
what's their legal jujitsu move trying to keep him in there? Like, what's their excuse?
Well, they're saying that he's in there on charges that were unrelated to January 6th, but
Oh, fuck.
they came from January 6th, and it's all based on evidence that was proven to be planted, but the courts didn't care anyway. So they
Um,
supposedly found grenades and a CD that
Yeah.
had a couple classified documents on it. But the problem is there's no chain of custody for that alleged evidence, and
Right.
also no fingerprints, no DNA, no physical markers that would show that he
Yeah.
had anything to do with it.
They definitely if he was hands on with any of that shit, they would have been traced DNA there. And there's
Right.
different ways
any
to get
legit
DNA.
court would have thrown that out.
Yeah, any right. It's again, these all of you have gone through the kangaroo court system. That is our system right now that needs to be absolutely upended. And a lot of these, it's good to see that he was firing what do you call the prosecutors and everything like that. That was just great. It's sad because we're not going to see unfortunately we're not going to see many of these people get perp walked, right? But if they can get their lives ruined the way they ruined everybody else's, to me, that's just it's only a slim portion. But let them feel a little bit what it's like to have to pay for something, have the money to pay for a house or pay your car or whatever the hell it is, that they may have to pay for, right? You know, not being able to get a job or whatever like that. So it's not what needs to be done. What really needs to be done is that many of these men and women that were, either on the bench, okay, or just prosecuting you guys and just absolutely lying on the stand and everything like that to just embellish shit and everything, not giving you guys the rights to actually defend yourselves, right? You guys weren't given the tools, right? The tools were there, they're written in the Constitution, but they prevented you from using those tools.
Yep.
So I'd love to see a lot of them being disbarred and perp walked for violating civil rights, but I don't know. That's going to be a tough task. I just hope that someone decides to start doing that.
Well, I do know that I had two separate prosecutors on my case. I don't know why, but I did. I also had two FBI field offices attached to me too. But I'm very happy to know that my primary prosecutor was demoted and sent to HUD, which I think is hilarious.
Nice.
And the other one I'm assuming is in the list of the firings because I've seen his profile come up online a few times, but I haven't seen exactly how it came. And for those that have watched my podcast or my live streams previously, they would know that Sean McCauley, the second prosecutor, was begging the judge to revoke my bond because of how much of the Capitol footage I was releasing. even though Congress was saying it wasn't time to release it yet. I said, screw that, and just started
Yeah.
publicizing it all on my own.
Fuck that.
Right. So for 15 and a half hours a day, 6 days a week, I was live streaming footage that was unreleased. But anyway, he was begging the judge because of that. And so the audience of my show started opening the show by telling Sean hi every time. So they'd drop hi, Sean, in the chat, or my kids would walk by the camera and they'd always look at it and say, hi, Sean, and keep on going because he has to watch
Wow.
everything I produced. It was kind of fun to snub my nose at him. But I'm definitely looking forward to people being held accountable. There's some heavy forces
Already
out there right
started.
now that, yep, they're going to be revealing a lot of stuff, especially soon you're going to hear about the pipe bomber and their ties to the people that orchestrated this whole ordeal. There's things that I brought out in court that, you know, the judge wanted to try to suppress, but it was unable to because it had been publicly reported by Laura Loomer. But we had
Yeah.
shown that there were undercover Ukrainian intelligence assets embedded in the crowd in January 6th as agitators.
Right.
Oh shit.
Undercover FBI agents, Metro
Yeah.
Police,
I knew
especially their
about
electronic
I knew
surveillance
about
unit.
the undercover feds and Capitol Police
Yeah.
and also the criminal informants that were agitators, and I knew about that. I didn't know shit about you just schooled me on some Ukrainian. The Ukrainian intelligence was there?
Yep. Ukrainian intelligence assets, and it's all documented by the FBI. They knew that they were there. They actually questioned
Probably paid
January
for by
6th.
us too.
Yeah, we probably
Probably.
paid for them.
But yeah, they were questioning J6ers that had their photos taken with them about their associations with those people, etc. So
Wow.
the truth is coming out, and I love it. I'm hoping Kash Patel gets confirmed because with him, John
Oh, God,
Ratcliffe,
yes.
um,
Bondi, Pam Bondi's not going to
Bondi,
be
yeah,
too bad.
Bondi, and the lady for Homeland Security. I'm forgetting her name,
Gnome,
but
No, yeah.
Christy Gnome.
yeah,
Christy
Christy
no.
Nome. Thank you. That's going to be a powerhouse to completely overhaul the DOJ, the
Mhm.
BOP, the FBI. You know what I mean? The intelligence communities, and that's truly what needs to be done. Is the courts and the system itself needs to be cleaned out and overhauled, so that we can go and hold other people accountable for anything else, and it wouldn't be a corrupt
Right.
judge that gets them off too easy. That type of thing,
Mhm.
because you can't
Right.
prosecute if the prosecutors and judges are all in on it.
Right.
Did you,
It's just one big, tentacles are all wrapped together and everything like
Yeah.
that, slimy tentacles.
did you,
That
hey
it's
man, did
definitely
you happen to
something that
see
needs to
that
be done.
video? Did you happen to see that OMG video from earlier? I think from last night, where they showed the Homeland Security
Oh yes, with
professional
O'Keefe,
that
with
got.
James O'Keefe.
Mm-hmm. That's what Christy, and they were saying about how he doesn't give a shit about Christy. No, in fact, he hates her.
Yep. Yeah,
And
I think he's got put
he's
on
like,
fucking, since he got suspended today.
I didn't see if I didn't see what the outcome was, but I mean, his face is right
Yeah.
there, and he's just like, yeah, we don't have to actually do what the secretary tells us.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just take it under
Yeah.
advisement.
I
And I'm
think he got
like,
hemmed
that's
up for that.
exactly what they need to root out. That's exactly from
Yeah.
not just the top, not from the top. It's got it all the way down. These fucking
Yeah.
Right.
slimes,
Well, this is a
scumballs.
perfect time for all of us to unify together, right? What Republican,
Mhm.
Democrat, left, right, up, down, don't matter. We all deserve justice. We all deserve a fair trial. We all deserve to not be, illegally investigated or sought after by the DOJ. The government should never be weaponized against us. Doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you're on.
Agreed.
And we all know that these problems have been happening for generations. It's not just the
Right.
January 6ers that were persecuted. There's not just this group of patriots that were out there that all of a sudden rooted up corruption in the DOJ. Like, this has been going on
Right.
for a lot of people, and a lot of folks scream it from the rooftops, but because it's so isolated and individualized, nobody pays attention to it. But now January 6th has become such a focus of our national energy. It sucks up the news cycle. It's been exposed, and it's to a point where people will want to affect change. And so I think no matter what side of the aisle you're on, we should all kind of stand up and demand reform, and that can fix the problems that all of us, left and right both, have been complaining about for a very long time. you know People might not agree why I protested, but because I was an idiot and protested, like many people have called me, the entire nation is now talking about how the things that you had problems with before need to be changed. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Let's kind of use that idea and unify both sides of the aisle
Mhm.
to make these changes to bring us back to where we need to be for justice.
Yeah, I mean that that sounds great. Unfortunately, the left right now is still calling you guys idiots. They're still calling you guys insurrectionists and all kinds of other things, and they don't want to come on board. So, for me, if you don't want to get on this train that's rolling out, that has rolled out, and it's rolling fast, okay? I mean, we see that with the new administration, he's doing things, and the legacy media can't keep up, okay? And you're 100% correct, all right? This should make no difference what side of the political aisle you're on, right? The left for decades have been screaming about
Right.
injustices and criminal justice reform and all this other stuff, and now there's an opportunity to actually do it. They don't want to do it, right? Because it's
Yep.
just they used it and weaponized it against us and effectively, right? Because they used it effectively against us. But now that there's just this big pushback coming back from not just us, okay? We had a lot of people come over to our side that helped Trump get elected, that just saw it and was like, this is wrong. Some classic liberals, right? That we call them classic liberals. And, they're like, wait a minute, man. I've been fighting against this shit my whole life, okay, speaking out, and all of a sudden the side that I'm supposed to be on, that's supposedly the side for peace, freedom, free speech and everything, is not for free speech and stuff. So we got a lot of good people that have come over, and I'm with you 100%. Joe, we just got to keep screaming at the top of our lungs when we see something shitty, say it, and just keep pushing, right? We don't let this story, your story, and the story of so many others, okay, must never disappear. And I aim to make sure that that never happens. Like I said, we're gonna have as many of you on the show over the year, next year, over the next 4 years. Come on the show, okay, and continue to blast it, because the airwaves are not going to be silenced by me. I'm not going to do it. So go ahead, Scott.
I just want to say I agree with Jay in the chat. I don't think that most of the left wants to unify.
Right.
I don't think they can. I don't think they have a desire to. When you were talking about Joe, excuse me, when you were saying how it should be something we could both get behind, justice for everybody. They don't want justice for everybody. They want
Yep.
justice for
And that's
some,
you got
and
to get
that's it.
past
And
that cognitive dissonance.
it's tough. And you know what? And I know I want to try to be open minded to be like, well, we have to try, but I, I I'm out there every day, and not just on Instagram, not just on social media. I run into people every day that just they cannot get it through their head. They refuse to like turn the TV off. They refuse to look at things. Say you said you don't believe this. Here's the article they don't even want to look at it. They don't even want to. They don't even want to believe that they've been lied to. And
Yeah.
that they've been knowing the wrong thing for however
Yep.
long. They just
Yeah.
don't want to. I've chased people out, my own family members. I've chased them out of the room saying, "Wait, just look right here. It's on my phone. Look." And they don't even want to. They won't look. They're like, they literally like a child. Like they run away.
Oh, I believe it. I've
It's
had some pretty
insane.
awkward Thanksgivings myself. My mom is a lifetime Democrat that actually is the second in charge of the elections in the state of West Virginia. And,
Hmm.
according to her, I was at one point in a cult and I was being brainwashed and all this stuff. And I kept trying to explain it to her, but she didn't want to hear it. But when she saw it, what they were doing to me in the courts, the prosecutions, and, seeing the video evidence and then hearing the false claims that they would make, saying that, oh, he punched and kicked police, but there's literally no photos, no video, no nothing. Just the prosecutor makes the claim and tries to slide it through, that
Hmm.
type of stuff.
Right.
Um, they fabricated that I had criminal history that didn't exist. They said that I had a domestic against my wife, and I'm like, absolutely not. Like, never. that's not. That's definitely
Hmm.
not in my blood. Um, but they did everything they possibly could to try to make me look like the worst of the worst, and not only in front of the
Right.
judge but in front of the jury. And I'm actually an easy case compared to what many others went through. I was blessed. I wasn't in jail the entire time. I had 2 years out on bond to fight my case and to
Right.
publicly advocate and try to help make a difference, which doesn't make it any less that they kept trying to revoke my bond. They kept trying to violate me and, violate my
Mhm.
probation, a pretrial release, etc. They cost me my, like I said, my jobs. They cost me my business. Absolutely destroyed everything in my life. I was cast out from half of my family, cast out of my home church.
Mhm.
Had to drop out of several organizations that I belonged to. I used to be the announcer for my kids' football team, and I couldn't even
Mm.
really get involved in that after I ended up getting thrown into federal prison. And now I have a pardon, but now I have to explain to everybody, well, the gap in my employment history is because I was in federal prison for being at the Capitol. Yeah, I got pardoned by the president, but
Right.
that doesn't go off my record. I can't pass a
Right.
Mhm.
federal background check. My VA
Right.
Right.
benefits have been stopped. I have to fight to get my VA benefits back. Appreciate
That's
your
something,
service, by the
JD.
way. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
forgive you for being a Marine slash Army, but you're a Navy baby.
um, that's something JD one on J6. JD was explaining to us that there's something like over 150 veterans right now that are being absolutely screwed um, by the VA.
Yeah.
But that's what the VA does best, right? Like they're good at freaking sticking it to us when they can. Uh, yeah, that's something that we need to fight a little bit louder for. You know,
Has
this shouldn't be
has
happening.
Trump mentioned anything about that? Has Trump mentioned anything?
I
Because I know
haven't.
in his first term, he was all about VA reform. I don't know how much it was reformed back then, but
We actually got
Well,
some
there's
good things out of him under the Trump administration that, unfortunately kind of lapsed under the Biden administration, but it was
oh yeah,
heading in the right direction with some of the things that he did and stuff like that. He changed some things that could be really, really great for us, but the Biden administration just didn't really give a fuck anyway. So, you know, um, they just let it happen. Go ahead, Joe. What were you gonna say?
well, yeah, with the VA, there's definitely going to be some positive reforms. I know there's members of Congress, as well as the Trump team, that have been discussing improvements at the VA. I personally am going to reach out to this administration and make suggestions of my own. One
right.
major target is not only to make sure the J6ers have their VA restored, but all veterans, we need better dental. Like that's the
Yeah, we
one
only get it.
forgotten.
Yeah, you only get it if you're 100% or if you damaged your face somehow, in combat, or it doesn't even have to be combat
Right.
training. You actually hurt your face somehow. Other than that, they won't give you dental. I agree 100%. That's something that I've been screaming at for a long time. It's like, why don't we should get dental? All right, it's just ridiculous that we don't. I mean, you guys use freaking residents at a dental school anyway to do out dental, so why can't we just get it?
Right.
It's not even costing you that much for these dentists and stuff. So that's something that also needs to be changed too. Is that the dollar amount doesn't equal the percentage, if you know what I mean, right? So like 100% is like 100% is what is it, at 38 or some 36 or something $100. You go to 90% and you're only at like $2,200. That's not 90% of so like that dollar amount, the whatever formula they use is bogus anyway. So like the dollar amount should match, okay, the percentage, and that's something that's a big issue that needs to get fixed. Can you imagine if the right now it's like I said 3,600 for 100%. Can you imagine if you only got 10%? That's $300. $360 in your pocket instead of $110. You know what I'm saying? That's you
Right.
actually got 10%. That makes a difference. A huge it would that alone, okay, if they would just fix that, just let not among the other things that they have to fix, if they could just fix the compensation, okay, and actually make it to the money match the percentage, that would help so many veterans across the board right off the bat,
Right.
okay, and
Absolutely.
alleviate so much financial pain and stuff like that. So, I'm with you, man. There's a lot of things that need to get taken care of, and I'll be happy to join up with you, man, and freaking be loud with you about this shit. So,
And that's really what I want to try to focus on, is to use, like you said, use our voice, bring up the issues that need to be fixed, because whether they're paying attention to it or not doesn't matter. If we pay attention to it and vocalize it, then it brings their attention to it, and then they want to make a change that'll make us happy. Why? Because they want to be reelected. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Now, I know Trump, he ain't worried about his reelection, obviously.
yeah.
He's in here to turn everything upside down and restore our country. There's a plan and all this kind of stuff. Like I'm 100% down with it. It sounds great, but it's not up to him. It's up to all of
Yeah,
us. The fight
right.
is just now beginning. We have the
We've been saying that
opportunity.
forever now.
Right, right, right. Well, this is a new chapter, right? That where
Yeah,
the actual change can come. We spent the
right.
last 4 years pinpointing everything that was wrong and why, and getting the whole nation on board. And now
Yeah,
we brought in a mandate, brought in the big guy that can make that change. And now it's up to each and every one of us to affect the change of what we had those problems with. Because if we don't stand behind it, then they're not going to do it. Period.
yeah. Yeah, it's our voice is like, I don't know if you were, I'm sure you were paying attention, with when Trump was making selections before, okay, January, um, he picked some idiot sheriff from freaking Florida that nobody likes, and then there's a lot of great sheriffs in Florida, right? They're all like the standard down there, and he was like to be head of the ATF, and people would just top of the lungs on social media saying, "Fuck him, hell no, this is a red flag guy. He's just like he's violated
Mhm.
people's two-way rights. He should not be part of the ATF." And within like the next day or two, he was gone. That was like it was okay. We're done with that. Sure would like to
Yep,
see Brandon Herrera. That would be nice.
absolutely. I would definitely hope that all of his cabinet picks get in. But bottom line, no matter what the administration is, it's up to we, the people, to stand up
Yeah,
and say, this is the effect that we want to make. This is the America we want to leave for the next generation. And this is why I honestly think um, I'm glad that the mainstream media is disappearing and alternative media is the one that's taking the forefront. Is because of the hard work of gentlemen like yourselves fighting for that
yeah,
truth, defeating the narrative, pointing out where they're lying, and this is the actual proof. You know what I mean? To show that
Mhm.
comparison, to actually compare apples to apples instead of apples and oranges or whatever,
yeah,
to bring that to the forefront. It's your voice that's powerful. That's why they went through years of censorship and to try to silence us and shadow ban us, et cetera, is because our voice has power. Otherwise, they wouldn't care. We could scream from the rooftops and they would just do whatever they want. But we still have
yeah,
that chance. And I can't say that enough. And that's the whole point of the Sing for Freedom campaign, was to motivate people to do that through song, something we can unite under. I still
yeah.
tear up whenever I hear the anthem. That's done that since I
Oh,
was in the
absolutely,
service.
man. Yeah,
But we can't just sit back and say, okay, great, Trump won. Now let's let him do everything. We have to stand up and actually follow our civic duty and be the people.
yeah. Scott and I have been right, Scott. We've been so vocal about that. It's like, hey, we've been trying to tell people since just before the election, right? Because him and I got together before the election to start doing lives together, and we've been saying it. Even say, hey, even if we get him elected, okay, he's only one man. We need to give him the workhorses, right? Then he gets elected, and we've been saying he's only one man. Okay, we still need to give him the workhorses. And you know what's even better than giving him the workhorses on a national level in the federal government? Take care of your states, take care of your towns, your villages, okay? Pay attention to who's a DA running for DA in your town, okay? Who you
Mhm.
can elect, because most judges on the smaller levels on towns and villages, you
Mhm.
actually vote for them, right? So you if you want proper criminal justice and you want criminal justice reform, you got to elect the right people, right? If you want, you know, local government to be better, you got to elect the right people. And I've said it a million times and ad nauseum that in the beginning of the year, around February or March, you usually get the ballot of who's going to be on the ballot, okay, for the rest of the year going into in an election year. Download your ballot, right? Print that motherfucker out, okay? Get online, find out as much information as you can for each candidate that's in your party, right? So that way you can weed out the rhinos, and you could get more Christian conservatives to come in, and we can get back to what we were as a nation and stuff. So we've been saying that for months now, and we're
Mhm.
going to continue to say that local, 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 and pay attention, right? It's Trump. Once Trump is gone in 2028, we still got to fight. Is the fight's not over?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of great groups that are out there right now that have been helping with the January 6th event. Like there's a J6 Road Home project helping J6ers that are just now getting out of prison be able to find housing, get transportation, get a job, help them get back on their feet.
Mhm.
There's tons of attorneys and legal teams out there that are helping the J6ers find true justice, whether it be through their appeals or civil litigation, whatever. There's groups out there that have been helping to rebuild these families, and I got to give tons of shout outs to, I mean, a lot of folks. Go
Go
to
ahead, shout them out,
American
man.
Patriot.
If you want to
Yeah,
shout some people out, go ahead and shout them out.
American Patriot Relief. does amazing work in helping the families of the J6ers and J6ers themselves. They're actually involved with the J6 Road Home project of getting people housing and transportation. Um, the Sing for Freedom, if you go on the site, you'll see a list of groups and organizations that we're affiliated with that we work very closely with in this fight for justice. But because
I'm gonna bring your page up again.
yeah, it's not only for the J6ers. It's just the J6ers and their families suffered through a huge injustice, and we want to make sure that it never happens to anyone else. We want to help these families that went through that get on their feet, help rebuild their lives, pick up the pieces that the DOJ tore apart. When a tornado goes through a town, it's the cities that are around it that get up, dust everything off, and help them rebuild. Well, that tornado
Right.
had a name, and its name was Joe Biden, and we got tore up. Many of our people's lives are absolutely destroyed. There's been J6ers that have taken their lives because it
Yeah.
was too overwhelming. Um, and none of that can be fixed. But what is here, what pieces remain? There's tons of groups out there to help put it together. And if you go to my site, you can find a lot of the groups. If you want to get involved, help them out. StopHate.com is a very good one. I saw it flash on the screen there, but um, one of the drop down menus will show you the different options on the page where you can go to. And all I can ask is, folks, if you want to do something that's a central hub to find a way to help out. You can help financially, great. But if you can put together flyers, if you can help make phone calls, if you can just be a listening ear for someone to talk to that's going through a tough time, or be in a prayer circle, I mean, you name it. There's a lot of different groups, a lot of different avenues out there. I'm actually going to be cutting this short. It's coming
That's
up on
fine.
9 o'clock, and I got to go sing my anthem for the Sing for Freedom.
Okay.
We do
Hey
every
man,
night.
we want to make sure you don't miss that, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I can't thank you all enough. Make sure you go singforfreedom.us and help out, whether it be through donations to any of the J6ers that are on there, their families, or if you want to get involved in these groups. But this is where the fight begins to make the change. We've seen the problems over the last 4 years, and it's because of your due diligence, your fight, your patriotism, your dedication to truth and dedication to this country that we are now here at this point being able to look forward to success for future generations. So, balls in our
And
court. And
can I give you
amen, man. Hey,
one little thing for positivity on the way out?
absolutely.
Uh, we all know what a skag Susan Collins is, right? She made an announcement she will be voting for Tulsi Gabbard.
oh, that's
So
excellent. That's good shit.
that's one domino that we probably needed to get her confirmed.
That's
It's
amazing.
going to be an important
Tulsi's
one.
going to do great.
How much time do you have, man? I wanted to pray for you really quick before you left.
No, I'll never limit time for prayer.
All right. Do you mind if I freaking pray for you, man?
I would be honored.
No. All right, brother. So I pray for all you guys, this is my pivotal moment in life prayer, man. Father in heaven, we give you praise and glory. Thank you so much for your word. Thank you so much for revealing your heart to us, revealing your will to us. We ask that you please meet us at this moment because this moment is where we find you. And in this moment is where you find us. Help us to be found by you and help us to know your presence in this moment, in this circumstance, in this season of our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I love it. God is great, and the way that He helped us, protected us, provided for us throughout this entire last several years, and really through all of our lives, but specifically these last several years, has been amazing. Um, so check out the website, folks. Get involved.
I will.
Do something. You know,
It's in the description, man. And please, are you gonna come back to us, man? All right.
yeah,
We wanna
absolutely. Yeah, you
get
guys
an
got a
update. All
friend for
right.
life. I appreciate you all
Hmm.
very much. Sing for freedom.
Absolutely, man.
Post your videos all over the
Absolutely.
interwebs. I love it.
All right, brother.
Awesome. We
God
will.
Amen,
bless you
man.
all.
Thank you for coming on. Well, America, that was Joseph Thomas. All right. And Jay Sixer, just a man on a mission. He's going to make it happen, right? As you see, I pray for all of them when they come on here because that's just who I am. And I'll continue to pray for them. That's just what we do here. And I'm going to get into some of these chats. and then we'll catch up on stuff. So I think Nina asked, uh, Rogue Nina, amen. Please put up the link for which. All right. So yes, if you go into the description, Nina, the what do you call it? Sing for Freedom is there. All of Joe's links are in there. He's got merch and all kinds of stuff. We have some new people here. We have if I say this wrong, I apologize. On Here we go. We have Mamamas. If these shills don't
Mom,
vote them all out, they'll be exposed. Yeah, just new. I hope I said that right. If I said it wrong, I
mama, mama,
apologize.
mama mas.
Mama, Mamamas.
No,
I love it. All right. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Say what's up to Jonathan Stevie, who is our moderator, he's just constantly doing shit for us, and he's just like always holding it down. Conserve reality, always bringing knowledge. We always appreciate you in here, brother. Patriot Daywalker and Scott Tampa. um,
love you guys.
Thank you for
We
joining
love you
us.
guys.
One and only Blondie, thank you for joining us again. And one and only Blondie is going to be with us on what do you call it? On Friday, we're going to be talking about the American healthcare system, legal
Mhm.
ramifications, the truth, some truth on the COOF and whatnot, and the scandemic that we went through. So we're going to be discussing that with her on Friday. So she'll be in here. That's awesome that she's going to be dropping some knowledge for us. Did I miss anybody? Chelsea Boyle, as always, we love you, honey. Thank you for always being such a big supportive person here for us. And listen, if you're new to the channel, I see we've got a pretty decent amount of people here on Rumble. We got about 14 people on Rumble. Say hello in the chat. Um, you know, this is just a group of truth seekers and truth tellers here on this channel, and we want you to be part of our community. If you're listening in, you're a patriot and you're looking for the truth about things. So we hope we can bring that to you. So please say hello. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm both on YouTube and Rumble. We could use it. And just so you know, there's a little link in the top of the chat that I pinned there. It's buy me a coffee. Nobody's obligated to donate, but any little bit helps the channel. So, man, that was a good discussion with him, man.
Yeah.
It's just constantly hearing these stories about the fucking injustice with them, man, and just seeing it is just disgusting, man. When every time you hear it, it just kind of makes my stomach just like I get pissed
Hmm.
off too. I gotta contain myself because I'm just like fuming inside. We love low
It
energy
is this.
Chelsea.
Man, he's
I
got it in
can't
for
believe
Chelsea.
you, man.
My God, he's got it in for Chelsea.
Yeah, Scott
Um,
Tampa, man.
the yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, we talked about it like a month ago. It's just how many freaking how many rights were violated under the Biden administration?
Yeah,
By if not by directly by his admin, by just people working with his admin. It's like, and I mean, the J6ers got it like the worst of the worst, but I mean, the violations were like nationwide.
yeah,
I mean, they put, and we're seeing because, and we're there, it's all coming to light. We're seeing, the people that Trump is helping get out. The
yeah.
whether it's the people exposing the horrors of the hospitals, what they were doing with kids, or the people that
Yeah,
were just trying to protest the what do you call it? Protest the
Planned
abortion
Parenthood in
clinics.
front of abortion
Yeah,
clinics and whatnot.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's good, and even listen, I know with like one of the people who were protesting in front of an abortion clinic, there's some what do you call it? Some things that, were brought to light that, but you know what? I don't believe it because it's the government. It's the same government that did the shit. Okay, the evidence they had, it's the same shit that they did to the J6ers. So like, I'm like, we're at a point where you just don't believe the government. Whatever the government says is bullshit. Okay, and it's still all full of shit. We've watched it. So even if the so-called evidence was that well, they blocked this way and they rammed into somebody's arm or whatever, and they were literally
Hmm.
blocking, and you're not supposed to block according to the law, but I don't want to hear it. I'm like, I don't care. I honestly don't give a shit. Okay. To me, right now, the government is full of shit. All right. And they're not out. The government, no matter what level it is not out to be your best friend. They will do injustice as we've seen in the last 4 years. We've went through it as like you just said, as a nation, we went through it, and Seeing what happened to these guys, just for me, it was just like I can't stomach this shit anymore. I just can't do it. I gotta open my mouth. I gotta say something. This is bullshit. And then we actually got some footage that were actually on Rumble. There was like 20,000 hours worth of stuff that they put on Rumble under McCarthy. I don't know if they released any more stuff, but there was a lot of shit that he didn't release, right? And a lot of that stuff got destroyed um, by the J6 Unselect Committee, right? They destroyed a whole bunch
Hmm.
of evidence, right? Because they didn't want that shit to come to light, so that we can
Oh
show
yeah.
that it was just one big scam, right? We had the COOF was a fucking scam. 45, now 47 said it back then that it came out of a lab in Wuhan, the Chinese flu, he was calling it. And now all of a sudden, oh, the CIA is automatically saying shit. It's like we knew this shit. So everything that we were saying for the last 4 years that was a so-called conspiracy has come to light to be true.
Yep.
And yes,
I know.
Rogue
What's
Nina, you're
honestly
absolutely
what's
correct.
left?
Yeah, yeah, you're correct. Rogue Nina says 4 years of political warfare against anyone who isn't the corruption cult. Correct.
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so there's just, and it's good to see what's going on. It's good to see the changes that are happening, and it's happening so fast that it's even hard to believe sometimes. Um, yeah, yeah, Jonathan, you're absolutely correct. Destroying evidence is an admission of guilt. You're so correct.
Well,
Pardoning people way ahead of time.
pardoning
Yeah,
people.
blanket pardons and shit like that for things that may have occurred, or what I'm saying. It's just ridiculous. Like their their house of cards is crumbling, which is a good thing. But again, America, we can't be complacent. You're not going to hear about any complacency from me. You're not going to hear anything from Red Day. We're going to continue to fucking from the top of our lungs, until we can't breathe. Tell you, don't be complacent. Continue to pay attention to what's going on. Continue to speak out, and just do what you have to do, and I've said it a lot of times, right? You guys have heard me who've been watching the channel. Don't just listen with your ears, listen with your eyes, right? Those of you who've been watching me know exactly what that means, and uh we just gotta stay on top of it, stay focused, fam. The fight is not over. We gotta continue. So um I guess we can call it early tonight, brother.
If you
Unless you
want.
got anything else you want to go over, man.
I just had one question.
Go
Um,
ahead.
with these, because everyone's obviously we're all anxiously waiting for these secretary appointments.
Yeah.
The votes and everything, and is Cash going to make it? RFK
Yeah.
Jr.
It's
Um,
looking like that.
what what happened to the whole? What happened to the whole possibility for recess appointments? We were talking. It seemed like we were talking about that before the inauguration, like left and right, but now all of a
Yeah.
sudden no one's mentioning it at all. Like, we can still do that, right? If
Yeah,
Congress,
yeah,
if
yeah.
the Republicans don't
Absolutely.
step in line.
Oh yeah, if the Republicans, step and shit the bed, which like we gotta listen. You have to make an assumption that they're gonna shit the bed, right? Because
Mhm.
heaven forbid, heaven forbid, they actually approve picks by an actual Republican, right? And go with the Republican Party and go with the mandate of the country, because this is what we asked for. Okay, heaven forbid they did that. That be they were all on board for Biden, but because Biden is one of them, so uh,
Mhm.
Trump is not, and the people that he's picked are not. He's not part of them. They're not part of them.
Right.
They want to they're disruptors, and they want to disrupt the system. They don't want to burn it down. They want to disrupt it. Okay. In some instances, they want to burn whatever part of the system down. They want to destroy it, right? Because there are things that need to be destroyed, but they want to upend shit and just clean it out. Okay, because it needs to be clean. It's been, for a very long
Yeah.
time. Shit has just been very, very dirty in DC. And yes, let me put this up. You're absolutely correct. Right, mamas. I know I said that
Mama
wrong. I
Mas.
can't. Mama mas.
It's
I know.
three. Mama
Yeah,
Mas.
mama mas. She's absolutely correct. Call your reps and scream to confirm or threaten. We will primary them out. The people have absolutely spoken. 100%.
Oh wait,
Um.
before you missed another comment by Nina.
Okay.
Nina, I still have not seen this alleged second J6er that got murdered.
Yeah,
I haven't
I
seen an
have not
article on
found
it.
any information on that, and the reason I haven't talked about that is because I haven't gotten any information about that, Nina.
Yeah.
As soon as we get information, we will bring it to you. We
No,
both
Blondie,
trust
I
me, we
don't
both have
believe
been looking.
personally to the world, I don't believe it, at least
Yes.
not yet, because
Yeah.
there's these random videos of people saying, "Did you hear that
Yeah.
a second J6er has been on?" They almost have the same. It almost sounds like a script, to be honest.
Yeah, it
And it's
does.
like, why why don't they mention the person's name? That would be the
Yeah.
first thing they would be like. This person just got killed.
Right.
They would just mention the person, so you could go look up and find out who they are. They don't
Yeah.
mention anything. So, and I can't find
Yeah.
one article about it, not one news report, just random people mentioning it. It's like 4 or 5 videos now floating around of
I
people
have
just
not,
saying,
bro. I'm like you, man. I'm like, well, come on, man. You know how we are. We're not gonna put something out that we haven't fucking looked at. You and I we try to do our due diligence before we bring any information to anybody. That's something we do on a daily basis. So
"Mhm,
until either one of us gets that information and passes it along and says, "Hey, this is where it's at," because that's what Scott and I do. We share
yeah,
shit with each other. If he finds something, he shows it to me. If I find something, I show it to him.
if
Just
anybody
so that we
knows,
can. Yeah,
yeah, if
yeah,
anybody has seen an article or an actual information about a report, send
yeah.
it to me. You guys know where I am on Instagram.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. 100%. Yes. Luke. We asked Luke and Siaka on Friday, and they didn't have any information either, Nina. And they would be more tied into the
They would be
J6
very
community,
connected. Yeah,
being that they're J6ers,
they
right?
would
So
know.
like they would know. So I'm telling you, um, we just haven't heard anything.
No,
Remington 78, thanks for showing up. I'm really apologize. I'm sorry. You missed him. You just missed him because he went to go sing. He sings the national anthem at 9 p.m. every night. For the J6ers that are still stuck singing the national anthem in the DC
mhm.
Gulag, right? So he goes out at 9. We said a prayer for him, but don't be listen. Go back and watch it from the beginning. Watch this episode. We're gonna be wrapping up here shortly, so please go back and watch it. Everybody who's been here tonight, I see we got quite a following on Rumble. We got 18 people on Rumble, and which means that the rest are on YouTube. And hey, thank you all for showing up tonight. We really really appreciate it. Please, please, um, like and subscribe to the channel. Hit notifications on both Rumble and YouTube so you know when we're dropping videos. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is the show. 8 p.m. Eastern, guys. Scott and I on Monday and Fridays, and me on Wednesdays, sometimes alone, sometimes with the Chris influence. I got to figure out if she's going to be with me this Wednesday. It might be me alone. And we'll just go into and talk stuff and talk about what's going on. So, uh, hang on. Rogue Nina has some information. She says, so is the Seattle lady who supposedly shot in her yard by a 40-year-old isn't confirmed. The other was supposedly pulled over and shot. The one that got pulled over and shot, um,
He's been
what do you call
identified.
it? That he's been identified. The sheriff of that department in it's actually Illinois. He's from Indiana. He was in Illinois where it happened. Has
Hmm.
refused to release the body cam footage. There have been FOIA
Yeah,
requests for it.
shady.
Yeah, shady as fuck. His reasoning behind it is that they're still in the middle of the investigation. They did put the sheriff
Well,
deputy
fucking shit.
on administrative leave. Probably sure he's getting his pay. So yeah, we just don't know.
Yeah.
We
If
don't know
there's
what's going on with that second one.
if there's a second one, if there's a, like I said, if there's an article, that's the very first time I've heard more than a person
Yeah,
got shot. That's it. So if
yeah,
you have a link of where that article or wherever you found, even if it was a tweet or
yeah,
something
yeah.
that just
Please send it to us
shows
so we can.
something, some details,
Yeah,
so we can research and let us know. Because
yeah. Please,
I mean, it would be
please. Yeah.
awful if it's true. I mean, it's not that I don't want to believe it. I just don't want to. I don't want to spread misinformation for God's sake.
Yeah, yeah, we don't. Well, listen, we don't do that here. You know that, man. We do our
Yeah.
due diligence here. Scott and I do the best we can, because you are all truth seekers and truth tellers in your own right. A lot of times, you guys in
Mhm.
the chat, bring stuff up that we haven't even talked about yet, and then we get into it and we discuss it, right? And if we don't know the
Mhm.
information, we say, oh wait, we didn't know that, and we let you explain it in the chat and bring your chats up so that we can show everybody else. So we wouldn't hide that information. Well, you guys know that we wouldn't. I don't even have to say that. um
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it
so
could have been
yes,
someone who actually got shot, but who knows if she was a J6er?
right,
That's the problem.
right,
Is someone just making it up? We don't know.
correct, correct. That this lady may have absolutely gotten shot in her yard. But to my knowledge, I don't know if I can look up to see if you have a ballpark of when this happened. Scott and I can do our due diligence and try to find it, so that in the next show on Sunday we can bring it to you together. So just please point
Mhm.
us in the right direction, Rogue Nina. You hit us up on either DM us and stuff like that on Instagram, and we'll try to find it. Again, if you're just joining the show, we had Joseph Thomas on, Jay Sixer. All of his links are in the description in both Rumble and YouTube, so you'll be able to, go to Sing for Freedom, and he's got merch on there and everything. He's got video footage that you can see. Um, just things that you can do. It's pretty interactive, his website. So please go to that. Do whatever you can to help him out. Again, I got a pin to the top of the chat. Buy me a coffee. Guys don't have to. Just saying that it's there to help the channel. Okay, hang on. So Rogue Nina says USA Today reported 3 days ago. All right. So can you hang on? USA Today. All right. Let's do this right here. USA Today. Um. All right. Let's see. Okay. I see Indiana. All right. J6 rioter killed in Seattle in 2024. Not after Trump pardons. Okay. So here. All right. So let's clear this up, guys. So I pulled up the article from January 31st, and it says, and I'll pull it up for everybody to see. Just give me a second.
Is that the same one I'm looking at?
You might be. Hang on.
Oops.
I'm bringing this up right here. Is that it?
I'm looking at the
This is what
Seattle
I got.
Times.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right here. It says, and again, we'll have to do some more digging on this. All right. So this is from January 31st, reported by USA Today, and it says January 6th rioter killed in Seattle in 2024, not after Trump pardons. Fact check. The claimed two pardoned January 6 defendants were killed within 24 hours. A January 28th Facebook post, direct link, archive link, claims two individuals pardoned by President Donald Trump were killed within a day of each other. So one of the J6ers who was pardoned, we know that about the traffic stop. Let's get into the. So they rated false. Says, but again, this is the Marxist state media. A pardoned J6 defendant was killed during a traffic stop. We know that. And the
That we
second
know.
death mentioned in that post that was, I guess, the same day that they were posting about the traffic stop death, was that it was predating pardons by several months. That person, her name is Tamara Towers Parry, was never charged in a
Yep.
January 6th attack.
Okay. Yeah, and the one
All
I'm
right.
looking at, the article from the Seattle Times, is from October 2nd, which was before the election. So it's not within 2 days. It's like
Yeah.
what they're
So I
saying.
hope
Like,
that.
oh my God, a second person. So there you go. It's
Oh,
not.
Remington. Sorry, bro. Okay. Yeah, Remington. He has a Telegram channel too. Can you point? All right. I'll have to find that. Okay. Do you know the name of it, Remington? Can you post that in the chat? And then I will add that to the description once the live is over, and I'll add it to his links. That way, everybody has it.
Mhm.
Thank you for that
Yep.
update, Remington. Appreciate it. Um, yeah. So does that? I hope that answers. Yeah, they called her. They on. Okay, so it wasn't in the article wasn't calling her a J6 rider. As a matter of fact, the article said that she wasn't even charged for being there on January 6th.
Yeah.
At the end of that article, that's what it said.
Yeah. The
Says
Seattle
here
Times
that
article called her.
yeah,
The Seattle Times article called her a J6 participant, but it didn't say that she
right,
was actually like arrested.
arrested or charged.
She
So,
was in D.C. that
um,
day. That's all they're trying to say.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and
So that's all that they were
they
trying
made
to
a
say, that
point to
she
say
was in
that she had
DC.
a QAnon sign. visible.
Yeah, correct. So essentially, when she got shot in October, the leftist media, I guess they must have found out that she participated in January 6th protests, okay,
Mhm.
and called her a rioter, probably an insurrectionist in that article and all that other stuff. I didn't read the article from October, but I'm pretty sure they shitted all over her because that's what they do. And yeah,
Yeah.
Jonathan, thanks for throwing that article in the chat. Appreciate it. If you can throw that in the Rumble chat too, please.
Yep. It just, it just shows you though too that like I have these sometimes they're arguments, sometimes they're just civil back and forths all day
Yeah.
long on my Instagram. I mean,
No.
I'm not just busy. I'm not just busy posting. I have
Yeah.
an army of people that follow me, and they're just constantly sending me shit, and I'm debunking shit left and right. I'm
Yeah.
just like I spend I think that's if there's any one activity I do more than posting, it's debunking. Just
Right.
with people like saying, "Did you see this? Did you see this?" And it's like this is not look. Who is the source that's saying this?
Yeah.
Or there. And if it's like, and if it's something like amazingly great, at minimum,
Yeah.
some right leaning news network would be picking it up. If it's like, oh my God,
Correct.
Trump just cured cancer. Did you hear this? I'm like, where? Where does it
Yeah.
say that?
Yeah, it's
If
true.
Trump
It
cured
is so true.
cancer, Fox will be running it, OANN will be
Yep.
running it, Newsmax will be running it. I
Yeah.
mean, because the media goes both ways. Sometimes it's a bias towards conservative, but
Right.
at
It
least
does.
somebody on the conservative side would be jumping on and being like, look at this, you know.
Rogue Nina, it's okay. I know. Don't feel like that, honey. Seriously, don't feel like that.
No,
We have been
yeah, I'm not trying
Scott
to
and
make
I
you
have
feel
actually,
bad.
yeah, Scott and I have actually been talking about this, right, Scott, for like days. We've been trying to
This
figure
isn't
this
the
out too,
first
because
time.
yeah, we've been getting people have been sending us that too, right? So like, it's not
Hmm.
just you, okay? This, listen, guys. We say it all the time. I've said it. It's okay to jump in rabbit holes, right? Just you got to jump out.
Hmm.
You got to pull yourself out of them at times too, right? Because sometimes people get stuck,
Yeah.
in what do you call them, rabbit holes. And you guys are okay to actually ask questions and to continue to seek the truth.
Hmm.
So I'm not telling you, we're not by any means telling you not to seek the truth, but you know, um, listen, I'm glad you brought that up, Rognina. I'm glad that we were able to clarify that, because Scott and I have actually Scott has been getting it sent to him and I've been getting it sent to me, and we both have been asking each other like, bro, what have you heard anything else about this? Because like, we both have not seen anything. So I'm glad that you brought it up. I'm glad that we were
Yeah.
able to come to a conclusion on that one. So don't feel like that. um
Yeah. Ask
don't feel
Jay.
like
Yeah.
that.
Jay knows what either way. If you
Yeah.
can't find anywhere, just ask Jay.
Yeah, just ask Jay. uh so I'm just glad we were able to just put that up for everybody. So you know it's really good. So again,
Mhm.
we had a pretty good viewing today, guys. Guys, we got
Yep.
up to about 30 people between Rumble and chat and YouTube. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications on Rumble.
Mhm.
If you're watching on YouTube and you're new, do the same thing on YouTube. We really appreciate it. And please continue to come back. Break the Machine podcast episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Mondays and Fridays with me and Reddaywalker. Wednesdays it will be with me, and hopefully the Chris influence will pop in occasionally every now and then. Sometimes it'll be me alone. I only usually go about an hour on Wednesdays, but Fridays we stay up to about 2 hours. So tonight we're gonna finish a little early, but actually we've actually been finishing a little early, except for Fridays. Fridays we usually end up staying a little bit later than usual.
And Fridays are wild. That's right.
Yeah, Fridays get out of control. Fridays, so that's the way we like it. What is the Rumble chat like? I'll tell you right now.
It's going pretty
It's been
good.
very, very active. It's been very, very active. Okay.
Every week gets a little
Just
more
like,
active.
yeah, it's been getting a little bit more active in on the Rumble side as well. So, right now in the chat, just to answer your question, Chelsea, there is 15 people who are listening to us, right?
Mhm.
And then we got 6 over here. So
Sweet.
the Rumble chat has been getting bigger and bigger. So that's pretty good. We appreciate it. Rumble is a definitely a more freer speech
Well,
platform.
we only
You
started
know,
broadcasting there last week too, so
yeah, we
right.
did. We just right was no
So
we did no, this is like our third or fourth one, bro. Our third one. We started
third or
on
fourth
January
show,
20th.
third or fourth
Yeah, we
show.
started
The
correct.
20th was last, wasn't it? 2 weeks ago. 20th now.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. We started the 20th.
Okay,
Yeah. So
I
we're
got you.
gonna continue to stay on Rumble and YouTube, and Rumble seems to be the way to go. If I build a bigger,
Hmm.
if we can build a bigger following on Rumble, by all means, right? They're the better platform anyway for free speech.
Hmm.
One of the reasons we started on Rumble was one because we wanted to, continue with the parallel economy, but because on January 20th on YouTube they took everybody down. Didn't make a difference what the size of the channel was. Everybody who was broadcasting the inauguration on their channels, okay, everybody
Hmm.
got taken down. So we had to do an emergency and jump on Rumble right away. And the only reason we weren't on Rumble because we tried on January 6th and it didn't go through, but I figured that out. So once I figured that out, now we haven't been having knock on wood, knock on some wood,
Hmm.
my head. Okay, we haven't had any issues, so that's been a good thing. But so like I said, Wednesday should be me and the Christ Influence. Hopefully, if not, be me. On Friday, we have me, Red Day Walker, and the one and only Blondie, who's in the YouTube chat. And we're going to be talking about American healthcare and the freaking legal ramifications of the medical tyranny after the COOF pandemic. Oh, every except Jeremy got to stay on? No, you're kidding me, man. D Day. We're talking about D Day Cobra got to stay on, or freaking Jeremy the Quartering? Jonathan,
What
was it
happened?
a D Day Cobra? D Day Cobra got to stay on? Motherfucker, man. Can't believe he got to stay on. Follow him too, guys. D Day Cobra's a good dude. He's the head of Geeks and Gamers. He's the head of, I might as well give him a plug. Jonathan, make sure you let him know and give him a plug. He doesn't fucking even respond to any of my IMs, but he's a good dude. Big time Trump supporter. He came out of the Trump closet in 2016, and has been full
Be
steam.
careful.
Yeah, he's been full steam ahead on that, and his team over there at Geeks and Gamers are really, really good. And I actually plan to have a few of them. I'm working on getting Drunk 3PO on the channel, but right now he's got the MegaCon this weekend down in Orlando, and he rolls with Gina Carano. So I'm actually trying to bring him on a Wednesday because I think that's the only time he can do it because the weekends he's been doing these cons. Uh,
Hmm.
because the reality is, you know, a lot of us played video games. A lot of us liked freaking fantasy and science fiction and whatnot and everything. And all IPs are destroyed now anyway. But there's this big disconnect with Big Con and people who freaking play games. They think that everybody who plays games are sitting in a freaking basement drinking Mountain Dew and eating Cheetos. That's just not so. There are a lot of them who voted just like us and who are true tellers and true seekers, okay? But they just like to play games. Many of them have channels on YouTube and Rumble. So my one of my aims is to try to bring some of them on to bridge that gap, so you guys can hear them and hear about their story and their politics and whatnot, where they stand. And most of them, a lot of you'd be surprised, a lot of them stand on the same side as we do. And a lot of them were fighting in the culture war, okay, way before us. Yeah, we call him Gay Jeremy on Nerdrotic and Extra. Yeah, everybody calls him Gay Jeremy though. That's a thing though. That's been because of what do you call it? The Mario Kart wars that have gone on. That started, I think, on one of those. Anyway, so that's what we got going this week. We got on Friday. I'll let you know what we got going on next week. We got some people coming in to hang with us as well. So you got anything Red Day on the way out?
Just if you haven't seen them, I'm chronologically keeping track of every single thing going on under Trump,
Yeah.
every uh, every achievement, everything, every reaction,
We
everything going on since Trump took
I
over.
let's go over that on
So,
Monday. I think we should go over some of them on Monday.
mhm.
Let's uh
And
let's
they're
let's
on
do a
they're on
list.
videos. There's two videos. They're on my Rumble page,
Yep.
Patriot Daywalker, and they're on my Instagram page, Red Daywalker 2.0.
Yep. And Red Day's links are in the description. They stay in the description no matter what. So his Rumble and his Instagram links are there. So you guys know where to get him on both Rumble and YouTube. Like, so if you're watching
Cool.
on YouTube, you can click to his Rumble. If you're on Rumble, you can just click to his Rumble. So anyway, I'll take us out, brother.
Alrighty.
Well, America, that's another episode of Break the Machine podcast. We had Joseph Thomas on hanging out with us tonight. Jay Sixer, political prisoner, gave us his story. He had to leave a little bit earlier because he does sing for freedom. Every single one of his links are in the description. Please go ahead and make sure that you, what do you call it? Check out his website. A lot of good things on his Sing for Freedom website. He's been banned everywhere, so he can actually use his website. He can't use his personals on any of the, what do you call it, social medias. So that's what he does. So please make sure you tune in to him, and we will see you. I will see you on Wednesday, fam. I am the Big Red One guy signing out and reminding you that together and only together can we break the machine, my fellow truth seekers and truth tellers. God bless you all. God bless America. And I will see you all on Wednesday, fam. Have a good night.